Hi, everybody. I am so excited about today's ConvHERsations with Kristie. We have the most incredible guest today, one of my favorite people on the planet, Miss Kate Norton. Kate, I'm so excited to have you here.
I am so excited, and I don't think I've ever seen you not excited about something. So thank you. Thank you for bringing it extra for me today.
Absolutely. I'm really, really excited. So just to kind of get us started. I am Kristie Clayton. If I don't know you, I am the host of ConvHERsations with Kristie, and I am also the founder of all things Herverse. Her is an acronym for helping executives rise. And we are an organization that has three offerings, one specifically for second in command leaders. It's our female executive mastermind, or FEM. And we also have a community for women leaders who report to that second in command. So those that are on the leadership team, it's called the Lead Her community. And the third leg of our stool is executive coaching for visionaries, integrators, second in command leaders, and our leadership team members. So we would definitely love to have you part of our organization, but just want to introduce who we are and what we do. And Kate, I want to turn it over to you for just a second to introduce yourself and who you are.
Yeah. Well, thank you, number one, for having me. It is an honor to be part of the community that you have curated for over all these years. I've had the pleasure of getting to know you and so many people in this community, and it's been a great joy to me. Both personally and professionally. So thank you for that. My name is Kate Norton, and I sell things, but the way I really look at it is I serve. And I think that if we can just have the conversation around how people can serve today, who sit in the sales seat of entrepreneurial companies, it's going to be a really fun conversation. But currently, I sit in a strategic partnership seat at the Sales Collective. We're an entrepreneurial company, and we serve companies who are also entrepreneurial companies who are trying to simplify their sales process. So that's who I am, and I'm excited to be here and talk all things serving and selling.
Well, and we are also extremely blessed that you volunteer for the Herverse community and giving us ideas and tips and tricks on how to partner with our sponsors. So we not only have a wonderful, like, I think our relationship has definitely blossomed into a very just a tremendous friendship, but we have a great working relationship, and we've worked together a couple of times. It's been fun.
Yeah, haven't we? We've had some fun. We've definitely had some fun. No, but I really do appreciate being part of the Herverse community because, what we have created and what you continue to create is not only bringing together women leaders, but also strategic partners. And, it can get kind of lonely being out here, in a selling capacity. And especially if you're like the one person in your company that does it, or there's only a few people, finding other folks that have the same ideal client as you do is something that I've really valued as being part of the Herverse community, and something that I always encourage that that entrepreneurial sales leaders and sales folks find those other people in their network that they can collaborate with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know sales is your passion, and you have you do take a little bit of a different approach than most salespeople do, because you don't go the traditional like sell route. So I'd love for you to share, that, and why sales? Why is that your passion?
I mean, I think I've thought about that actually quite a bit lately because, you kind of look back at some point in your life and you're like, wow, like how did I get here? Right. And, you think about it, and for me, it's a lot of happy circumstance. But what I have found, and in reflecting, it was this really aha moment for me that I've only ever felt like I've been selling in the traditional sense of the word one time in my career. And I've had enterprise experience. That's where I started in my career, and entrepreneurial experience over the last about 10 years. But the place where I felt like I was selling was when I really, truly did not believe that the product answered a problem.
Ooh, that's a great point to make.
Well, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, and to go even a little bit deeper on that, I also didn't really love that I didn't love the ideal client that I was serving as well. So it
Oh,
was challenging. I didn't feel like the product answered a need, and I was challenged with the ideal client that we were calling on. And so, I think that was just an aha moment for me. In every other situation, I think if we can dig into how does this product or service answer a need for this potential partner that's coming into this discovery call or this sales meeting or whatever you call that initial call, then it really feels easy,
yeah.
right? And not
Right.
hard and sticky. And that. So I was in that situation once, but yeah, I'm just passionate about being in this space where we get the opportunity to make people's lives better.
I love that. And I do think that it's a different approach, right? And so when you feel like you're selling, that does feel hard. I love that that's kind of the word you used because it
Mhm.
is like I'm just selling something to you. But if you have a solution, it's not hard anymore because now you're helping, you're serving. So I love that you used that terminology.
Yeah, I really believe in that. I believe you serve versus sell, right? How do you do that? And really for your integrator community that may be tuning in here, really holding up the mirror to your sales side of the accountability chart and asking them, how do you believe that our product or service serves our ideal client? Number one, do you know who your ideal client is? That's a whole other conversation to get into. But how do you feel like we serve them? And hopefully, for those of us who operate on a business operating system, we can go back to the passion or purpose for the company, and you can lean on that. And if your team does not understand what that passion or purpose is, or does not align with it, you could have a challenge in the sales seat.
Yeah, it could just simply be, listen, if you're selling, if you're truly selling it, it may not be that you're a bad salesperson or it's a wrong seat for you. You may just be selling the wrong product or service. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, and I think oftentimes, you know, and I've been in this situation too. When I ended up in that situation where I just wasn't aligned, we get excited about opportunities. We may not dig in enough to what the purpose or passion is of the company. We may not ask the questions in the interview process. We may not understand what value the product brings and how that compares to other people in the marketplace. And so, I would encourage sales folks who might be tuning in here too, is, hold up the mirror, look at what you're doing right now, and, do you believe in it? And if you have another opportunity down the line, or for those newer, men and women who are coming up through a sales career, analyze the product that you will be responsible for, bringing to potential partners.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think are some really great questions that a salesperson may be able to ask either during the interview question or maybe they've gotten the job and now they really want to know how to serve versus sell? What are some great questions that they can ask?
Yeah. Well, I mean, number one, understanding who the ideal client is. And do you have the get it, want it capacity to call on that ideal client? Right. So that's number one, just making sure you completely understand who that target market is and who that ideal client is. And and then taking the next step, what is the messaging that we are bringing to that client or ideal client?
Mm.
And if there are multiple ideal clients, what are the different messaging that we're bringing to that ideal client? And asking those questions in the interview process, asking if there is, a client experience uh, map, that we utilize to show people what success looks like when we bring them through, a process of working with our company. I mean, that's very, very important. And then I would be asking, tell me about, how we compare to other folks in this industry, in this marketplace. What do people say about us? What are the testimonials? Ask for testimonials from partners that work with the company now. I would want to know what people are saying about this company that I'm, potentially going to be representing.
I love those. Those are great questions. And you kind of brought up a couple of different tools and resources there. And I know you're really passionate about a couple of them, specifically the proven process. And so, as I'm thinking about, the times that you and I have worked together and the client experience and the map and everything, talk about some of those tools and how, salespeople can really use them to benefit and provide more value. And and realizing that not every person is the same, right? We don't receive information the same. Some people you can sit and just have a conversation and you're golden, right? But other people need visual tools or, different things. So I'd love for you to talk about some of the tools that you use.
Yep. So the tool that you're talking about specifically that I talk a lot about in the entrepreneurial space is the proven process. People will use client experience map, client journey map, kind of all synonymously with the proven process. But I'd love to just kind of roll it back for a minute,
Yeah.
because the way I got so passionate about using this tool in entrepreneurial selling actually goes back to my enterprise selling. And
Ooh.
so, yeah, so I was in medical sales for years. And, the interesting, and I was very successful, and there was a framework to be successful. There was a process to be successful. And
Mm.
really, really smart people put that process together, right? And
Yep.
that process looked like, who is the ideal client that you're calling on? Are there multiple ideal clients? What's the messaging that we bring to that ideal client? What's the frequency that we call on that ideal client? How do we bring them through to success, to actually utilizing our product? And it was a clear process. And so I have that background knowledge, and I know how to be successful within a process. And one of the pieces in that process is having visual assets, marketing, sales aids, right? That's what we would call them, sales aids. That's what they were called.
Yeah.
And when I came into entrepreneurial selling, I kind of looked around and was like, so where are the sales aids? Like what are we using here, right?
And you probably looked at me like a deer in headlights. What is a sales aid? What is she talking?
Right, right. And so, people call them decks and PowerPoints and this and that. But I think the most important sales aid that an entrepreneurial company can put together is their client experience map. It's something that if I come into a sell for your entrepreneurial company, I would use that as, if I was on a deserted island, that's what I would want to have, is that one piece. Now, there's lots of backup information you can have for your information gatherers and, spreadsheets and datas and PowerPoints. But if you were going to use one tool, let's put together a beautiful experience map that shows how somebody engages in your process from the point of a discovery all the way to what good looks like, moving into becoming a raving fan of your product or service. And, you can do this in a very simple way. I mean, there's a couple simple ways to do it. I mean, there's people like, you could go out and get StoryBrand, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, and do this yourself. I mean, that's a fabulous book to look at. There's people like my good friend Ben Berman and What If Marketing that actually do this as a service, for people. But it is an important asset to have as part of your full sales process and playbook.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, if we are running on a business operating system, which most of the
Yeah.
audience will be, these are things that you should already kind of have pulled together, maybe not in this exact document, but your business plan, your VTO, it really should already have that information in it, and you're just pulling that information out. Am I correct in my thinking?
Yes, I don't know if that marketing section of the VTO is as utilized as it should be. I'm not sure if, people are really asking. And one way to strength test this is, well, number one, do you have a proven process, and is there a name for it? Is it the integrator journey, right? Or, is it the sales collective proven process, right? I mean, call it something and then create that visual.
Mhm.
So that's one way to strength test it. Another way is, do your salespeople know what your 3 uniques are? Quiz them on it. Like, do they know what your 3 uniques are? And are they using it as part of their discovery process with clients? Are they saying, some ways that we are separated from our competitors are these 3 ways, right? I mean, that should be part of your sales messaging. Another way is the passion and purpose. Are they able to tell a potential partner, this is what we're passionate about here at the Sales Collective?
Yeah.
That's where I am right now. We're passionate about helping entrepreneurial companies simplify their sales process and grow revenue, right? Like, I align to that. So those are just some ways to strength test the marketing section of the VTO.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to go back and do that, by the way. I just had a question that popped up, and this is truly for me, in my question that I have, but I'm pretty sure, I feel confident that there a lot of other, CEO visionaries will have the same question. What I find in entrepreneurial companies is a lot of times the visionary CEO is the person who yeah, I see you shaking your head. You know where I'm going already, right? We have like all of that information in. We've been the salesperson, and so one question I have is, when you're talking about some of these tools and some of these things, how is if I am the person that has been selling, because I am the owner who started, and I've been that person for so long, how can I help like transition some of that information over? How can I help my sales team really truly understand the passion and the purpose and the history and our proven process and all of the tools that we have? Number one, without overwhelming them, but also number two, so that they're portraying the same passion and just the same. I mean, what I've had a lot of people say to me, Kristie, nobody tells the story the way that you do. And I get that. No, and listen, I think that's true of every single business owner, right? Like, we've been there from the very beginning. It was the thoughts in our head. We made it happen. But how can I relay some information over to our sales team so that they can have the same passion and that same information, and share it in the same way that I do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's something that we see over and over and over again, that visionaries are sitting in the sales seat and they're trying to elevate up and out of that seat. So I want to say something to the visionaries, or even integrators that are listening to this, to encourage visionaries. When they elevate into that visionary seat, it is critically important that they are still owning one of the key roles, in their box, in their visionary box. And that is, to be managing the big relationships. And also, and I'd say a second, key role is that they are thought leaders. And we need them to be in that box and owning that box. And like you said, telling the stories and continuing to inspire and create those relationships and drive leads, frankly, right?
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. So I want to make sure that when we elevate visionaries out of that sales seat, that those two key roles in their visionary box are not lost. That's critically important. But then to answer your question about, well, then what, right? They're so excited. They're elevating up and out of that box. What happens more often than not, and I've seen this in my 10 years working in a couple entrepreneurial, sales seats, is that it's like, okay, well, come along with me to a couple meetings or watch my Zoom calls, and then, do it like me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Do it like me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's great. And you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot through osmosis. You really, truly can. But if there is no playbook for success, and I go back to my enterprise experience, when new people came into the company, I mean, Grant, how do you teach a 25-year-old to sell medical products if you don't have a playbook?
Yeah.
Right. So if there is no playbook for what success looks like, who's our ideal client? Why do we call on them? What do they need? What's our messaging? How do you function through your CRM? How do you move something from a lead to a closed deal? If there's no playbook and no guardrails and no guidelines and frankly, no process, hello, integrators, hopefully you're listening, right? If there's no process, your sales seat could be the best salesperson in the world, and they could truly align to what they're selling and believe in it, but they need a process. And that's where a playbook comes in, a sales playbook, and creating one.
No, I love that. One of the things that I think of, though, is, and forgive me here, because I'm going to speak candidly of my personal experience, is there are sometimes that I've heard people say that, salespeople don't like process, right? Like, they're just like, they're fly by the seat of their pants. They do whatever they want to do. Right. And I'm like, wait a minute. So for a salesperson who feels like maybe process is kind of like handcuffs telling them what they can and cannot do, how can a salesperson like truly embrace that process? Because it's not like it doesn't have to be like a standard, you do this, and step 2 is you do this, and step 3 is, so how can they use process to their benefit?
I love this question because I do think you're right, because I do think that there is a misconception that salespeople don't want to be put inside that box of process. And I would wholeheartedly disagree. We don't want to make the process for most cases. We don't want to build it. We don't have the follow through and the tenacity and all the things that make the folks who build process and procedures and playbooks great at what they do. So asking us to create that, especially if you are putting, a brand new salesperson in and elevating the visionary up and out of that seat, that is a recipe for disaster. And you're really going to potentially have a flight risk, I think, for that person who doesn't have a playbook put in place to be successful. So it's not that we resist process. In fact, we want to be successful. I would argue that every single salesperson that goes into a company wants to be successful. And we know that if there are measures of success, we can be creative within those measures of success for how we might, deliver the message, how we might, hunt ideal clients, how we might close ideal clients. There may be some creativity within that, but giving us those guardrails to be successful is critically important.
Oh, I love that. I love, and when you were talking, one of the things that I was thinking of is, the second in command leader, that integrator, the operator. One of the things that we are really great at is process, right? Most of us, not all of us, but most of us love that creation of process. So is this an opportunity for these two roles to really come together and make something beautiful out of the sales, process and the sales team?
Yeah, I think so. I think even going through like a delegate and elevate exercise together of, areas, and being able to say like, here's what I am. Salespeople, we have to sometimes let go of our egos a little bit, and we can't be good at everything. Right. And, and saying, I really am not great at building PowerPoints. I'll galvanize behind, a great PowerPoint and deliver it, but building it, there are people out there who really like to build PowerPoints. That was news to me. It's like, what? Or there's people that are out there that can help with building a really functional CRM, right? There are companies out there, my company, the Sales Collective, is one of them, who create full sales playbooks for people. But integrators, you have the ability to do this and to say, let's work together. Like and integrators also, being humble enough to say, I have areas I'm not strong at that you're really strong at.
Yeah.
And how do we work together in a kind of that delegate and elevate environment of, what I like and what I'm good at and what I don't like and what I'm not good at and all those things to actually, create that synergy and rocket fuel.
Yeah.
So to speak, right?
Absolutely. Well, because one of the things I was going to say is, putting my integrator hat on for just a second, one of the things that I remember is like sales wasn't my forte, right? It was not necessarily the thing that I had a lot of experience in, nor is it something that I was like super passionate about. Now, I want to support the heck out of my sales team and make sure they have all the tools and resources that they need to be able to sell, or serve our community in that capacity. But myself doing it, so I may not be the person who's that firsthand experience. So how do you feel like a salesperson in an integrator second in command role can really use both of their talents to come together, in that capacity? What are great ways for them to work together, not against each other?
Not against each other. Yeah. Again, I think it's going in, doing a delegate elevate exercise together. I think that's really important. Talking about how you like to communicate. I think that's very important too. And then speaking in the language of unique ability. Kristie, you saying to me, Kate, listen, Kate, it's been my experience that, I have a unique ability for creating process, follow through, tenacity. How would this benefit you in your role leaning on me?
I love that.
I'm saying things like, oh man, well, it is not my unique ability to follow through on, entering my sales calls or, keeping up with the customer. So then you work together to come up with a system of how that will work great together. So maybe you are helping create tasks, or, it could be so many different things. Or maybe you're actually able to start looking at a future forward accountability chart and say, well, maybe we need to start creating a sales coordinator to get you out there, Kate, to do the things that you are, that you thrive and where you succeed and that you get energy from, that are in your unique ability, which are not, maybe writing contracts.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're going to sit in, you're saying as the integrator, Kate, like you're going to sit in this seat for a little bit. And I realize it's going to suck your energy, but we're going to look forward and we're going to start putting things into that seat that are not part of your unique ability so that you can get out there and do the things that you love, which are be in front of customers, talking about our unique, our three uniques and our passion and our purpose here at the company. So I hope that kind of helps with the language.
No, I love that. I love that. And I love what you just said too, that, unique ability. And earlier when you said people really love putting together PowerPoints. Yes, I do. Right. So how do you find that support with each other? Right. What are you great at? What am I great at?
Yeah.
And we come together.
I found out just recently, which was really interesting. The CFO at our company is like a whiz at building some of these sequences that we were doing on LinkedIn. And for me, I looked at that project in front of me and I wanted to cry because it was like data hygiene and entering. And I was like, I can't, you should know what sucks your energy. And he was like, I'm going to do that 15 minutes. And I was like, this is amazing. So it can be cross-functional too.
Yeah.
And so maybe integrators asking what are things that are really sucking your energy? And there's some things we just have to do as part of our JOB, right? We just do. And that's okay. Maybe we can get rid of one thing a quarter and it can, go to somebody else that's really good at it.
I love that. I was just, as you were talking through that, it just kind of reminded me of a couple of situations where I've been in where it really is like who loves to do this versus who hates to do it. Because not only does it drain your energy and you're just sucked dry. I love to call it's like an energy vampire, just sucks energy.
Yeah.
But it also takes you longer, right? Where your person said, it took me 15 minutes. It could have taken you an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to do that same thing that was going to take him 15 minutes. And in my second in command integrator head, what I'm thinking is I just spent X amount of dollars for you to do it for 3 hours where I could have paid somebody who loves to do it 15 minutes to do it. Right. It really is to everybody's benefit, including the business's benefit, that you're doing the work that you love to do.
It really is. Yeah. And, I also think that you're talking about, sinking into what we're best at and good at, but also, the integrators can have the conversation of what things can I take off your plate? Maybe it's in the future. Maybe it's not right now. Maybe it's in the future. Right. And let's say I say expense reports, or entering calls into the CRM, right? So we're having a conversation about it. Okay, so tell me, am I being unrealistic in the time frame I'm expecting you to do it? This is integrator talking to the salesperson, because for you, any type of data hygiene, any type of data entry might be quick. Whereas I avoid it, I procrastinate, I put it off. So having some clear conversations and then, being like, okay, what's your power hour of the day? I mean, for me, I get more done between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. than a lot of people do. So I might have to put those things first, and just helping us hold accountability to holding the mirror up and awareness around, put the things that are hard first. Things like that. It sounds so simple, but we need your help with it. We do. We need your help with, that process, that procedure, that self-awareness, and we want to be successful.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Everybody wants to be successful. And how do we put them in that position to be the absolute most successful that they can be?
It's true.
I knew this was going to be an amazing conversation. And listen, we say this all the time. Every time we talk, we could talk for 3 days and still not have enough time. And still have 3 days worth of conversation left. So thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation. I really do think it's going to be valuable, and people are going to get some nuggets out of the things that you said. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristie. I love this community. I love being part of it, and super passionate about helping integrators be amazing at their roles and helping them lead, the teams to be super successful at their roles.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to end our conversation with a rapid fire, really briefly, of 3 questions that I ask everybody that comes on. Okay.
Okay.
If you read my recent post, one of the things that I'm very, very passionate about is honor, empower, inspire. Honor
Mm-hmm.
the woman of a previous generation that really truly like help lay that foundation for us as women who are in the business world today. Who is a woman that you would want to honor?
Oh my gosh. Okay, my Nana. I know we talk about this a lot. I know you have a really close relationship with your grandma. My Nana, she had 8 children, 4 girls and 4 boys. My dad was the oldest. I'm the oldest of 21 grandchildren. Yeah, and she just was super inspiring. She had this, amazing wit and humor that I just absolutely adored and miss every single day. And she just taught me about the how special family is and how strong we can be as women. We support the men in our lives, but also all the other women in our lives.
Oh, I love that. And yes, I have a special place in my heart for my grandmother too. She was amazing. So I love that both of ours is our grandmother. What about empower? A woman who is in the business world today that either empowers you and just lifts you up, or someone that you want to empower. Who is someone of today's generation that you want to recognize?
Oh man. I mean, I don't think I can make one person, but what I can say is I've worked with many young women who are between the ages of like 25 and 35. And just I would love to empower them to be aware of what their strengths are and what their areas of opportunity are, right? And to be able to say to somebody like me who might be in a position above them, or like you who's in a position above them, listen, I'm not great at that. Right? I'm really good at this, but I'm not great at that. So I would empower them to just be honest and transparent in order to grow.
I love that. I love that. Okay, last but not least is inspire. What is a woman, a young lady that is in the generation coming up behind us that you want to inspire?
Mm. I'm a boy mom, so I would have to say my nieces. I would love to inspire them just to be true to who they are. They're super sporty and creative, and they have so much future ahead of them, and just inspire them to just live in who they are. They may not know it right away, and that's okay. Right? It's okay to not know who you are right away because it's an exploration. I just turned 50 this year and I'm learning more about who I am every single day. So I would love to inspire them just to continue that curiosity and journey.
Oh, I love that. Again, friend, I knew this was going to be an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for coming on and spending your a little bit of your afternoon with me. I love you to pieces, lady. Bye, everybody. See you next week.